Hand-to-hand combat number 1. On this tape, we're going to cover the basic essentials and fundamentals of unarmed close quarters combat. The first thing to understand in any type of hand-to-hand combat situation is distance, momentum, and balance. Those are 3 prerequisites to being able to move effectively, attack effectively, and close the gap and close with the attacker with the least amount of possibility of being struck or injured by the attacker. If you look at the way the body is constructed, the weak points of balance are the head and the lower part of the body, the legs. Trying to disturb his balance by attacks to the torso or to the hip area is not a practical way of disturbing the balance, because that's where the body is the strongest. The muscles of the abdomen, the hips, the buttocks, and the thighs are very, very strong. So in attacking, you want to try to destroy his balance by attacking the area towards the top of the torso or attacking the legs. If you look at the way the balance is distributed, you'll see that the wider the feet are apart, obviously, the better balance or the better his positioning will be, because his center of gravity is lower. However, no matter how wide his legs are, if you mentally draw a line between his feet and then intersect it with a perpendicular line, in other words, imagine a line going across this way and then intersecting at 90 degrees, that will always give you the proper entry for his weakest point of balance. If he faces me and stands with his feet shoulder width apart, obviously the line that intersects going right between his legs means that his balance is very weak in this manner. If he turns and faces the camera with the same positioning, if I pushed him now, it's much more difficult to move his balance. If he faces me one leg forward, again, if I went directly towards him this way, it's much more difficult than if I moved with one leg forward again, please. Here's the line I intersected perpendicularly. So from my frontal position, if I moved here, now his balance is very weak. So this is an important concept to understand and to employ when you have to position yourself in a confrontation. Your positioning should be on that line so that when you make your move, you are attacking against his weakest point of balance. Going back to our original statement, if the assailant takes a strong body position, and I try to move him at the hips, it takes an amazing amount of effort. Strong balanced position again. If instead of going to his lower mass of the torso, I simply use his head, and this can go in either direction in strong position, either forward, or to the rear by moving his head, you'll see that his balance is very weak. The same would hold true, strong position that way forward, please. The same would hold true with his legs. Again, attacking the torso, very, very difficult. However, if I were to simply sweep out a leg, his balance would be destroyed. So the 2 areas that you would want to concentrate on when you attack would be the legs and the head. Again, preference would be the use of blows, strikes, and kicks to accomplish this destruction of balance. I wouldn't simply grab him or even try to reap him. This is just for demonstration purposes. I would attack these areas with blows. The point is, these are the effective targets for the disruption of balance. Also, vulnerable areas of attack. In realistic hand-to-hand combat, you have to assume that you will find yourself fighting under the worst possible conditions. Murphy's Law applies no matter what you do. Whatever can go wrong will go wrong. If we look not just at the anatomy of the human body, but also at the clothing, many months out of the year, especially in the Northeast, people are going to be wearing coats, jackets, sweatshirts. Blows to the upper body are going to be minimally effective because, first of all, there's a lot of muscle density. Secondly, they can be covered with heavy clothing. So consequently, the most effective target areas would be those located in the head, throat, and the groin and leg area. These would be the least protected and the most accessible. Another point to remember is that his arms very easily can block or defend any type of blow thrown to the body. So it's almost a waste of effort unless you're highly trained to try to go for those type of areas. And even then, even when I say highly trained, I would always admonish anybody, even with great skill, to avoid making it any more difficult than they have to. So the blows that we're going to concentrate on are going to go to the vulnerable areas of the head and throat. These areas would be obviously the eyes, the bridge of the nose itself, the base of the nose, the point of the chin, anywhere along the ridge of the jawline, the temple sphenoid, coming right to the corner of the eye, the larynx, the jugular notch, the carotid arteries, jugular vein, turning here, the mastoid process, the cervical spine, base of the skull. These are the areas that are most susceptible to attack, effective attack, with the proper weapons. All of these blows can range from being moderately effective to being deadly blows, depending on the force that they are struck with and the repetitions that they are struck with. Any part of the body will become susceptible to massive injury if struck enough times. So you have to understand how these blows can be used under the proper circumstances. A blow to the throat, a blow to the larynx can gag, distract, and injure long enough for you to either leave the scene, or if you're a police officer and you have an effect arrest, this is a blow that could be used in order to effect a come along or to handcuff, to arrest or restrain the suspect. Again, I could also strike the larynx with enough power and enough force to crush it, and that would be a killing blow. So all of these target areas are effective. The determining factor is the force and the repetition of striking these areas with blows. Blows to the legs, kicks, stomps, knee strikes, again, to the thighs, the knee joint, the shins, the instep, very, very vulnerable areas. Anyone who's banged his shin on a nightstand in the middle of the night knows that it's very painful. Kicking a man in the shin, the instep, or the knee, without even a powerful stomping action, can be very, very effective, very disconcerting, very, very distracting and painful. Again, we're not just going to end with one blow, but it's an opening gambit, like in chess. Okay, there are hundreds of opening gambits. Once you decide on your opening move, then the chess game progresses depending on, the ebb and flow of the game. It's the same in hand-to-hand combat. I decide what my opening move is, and once that gets me in, now I have to have a non-specific, very, very flowing, practical, hard-hitting amount of techniques to continue the fight. No specific defenses. If we look at the groin area, we'll see that the groin area, if attacked, again, as in areas of the head and neck, depending on the force of the blow, will depend on the damage done. When striking at the testicles should be struck in an upwards manner. They shouldn't be struck through. They should be struck either upwards to crush them, or if they're grabbed, they should be pulled down, twisted, and ripped. So blows to specific targets have to be done in a specific manner to be most effective. If we look at momentum, which allows us to get power into our blows, we'll see that that's contingent on distance. Distance is important because if you allow an assailant to move too close to you, you will be unable to respond to his attack effectively. If I allow him to come into my range, where without shifting body weight he can make an attack, there is no way that I will be able to respond quickly enough or effectively enough to stop his onslaught, even if it's one technique. If my training partner becomes the good guy and I become the bad guy, and he allows me to get into his range, there is no way to know beforehand what offensive action I will take if he allows me to strike first. And this is where assailants get their ability to do as much injury and devastation, because they know the one rule that nobody wants to face. When you know that there's going to be a fight imminent, or an attack, or an assault you have to move first. The criminal wins in many situations because he moves first. That's the only secret that he has. If he lets me get close enough that I can hit him without shifting body weight, he is not going to have enough time to respond effectively. There's no way that he's going to know beforehand if my blow is going to be with a left hand to the jaw, a right hand to the throat, a left hand to the solar plexus, to the groin, a headbutt, a knee strike. There's no way for him to know beforehand so that he can defend or block or try to execute any specific defense. Doesn't work. It doesn't work against one onslaught, against one blow or one kick. Remember that the guy on the street, the trained attacker, trained either through formalized training or trained because he's grown up in a certain environment that has taught him how to survive, has a game plan or a battle plan. He's not just going to throw one blow. He's going to throw a combination. It's going to be one after another. So even if I tell my training partner, I'm going to throw a left hand jab at the face, this is how I'm going to start. And having known that this is the blow I'm going to throw, can launch some type of defense, it's not just going to end there. It's not just going to end there. An attack is going to look something like this. Even if he can block the first blow. Even if he can block the first blow. The first blow here, he was able to get his hands up. The second blow to the solar plexus landed, and then a knee to the groin. So against that type of attack, which is the type of attack that is realistic and practical, there is almost no defense. He's not going to block. I don't care how good an individual thinks he is in blocking an attack. In the real world, it will not work. It will not work. You have no way of knowing beforehand what this man is going to do. And action is always faster than reaction. So if you allow the individual to get close enough that he can hit you without having to move again into your perimeter of defense, you've made a tragic tactical error. What has to be done when you see that the confrontation is imminent? And again, how does an attacker close? I don't care if it's a bar fight, which is a ridiculous scenario anyway. What we're concerned with is actual street assaults or close combat that would happen in the context of actual battlefield use. He still has to make his approach, or I have to move into his sphere of influence. In other words, the two bodies have to meet. Somehow they have to meet. He doesn't just magically appear in front of me in a puff of smoke. Either he's going to approach me or I approach him. But either way, there is going to be a gap, a fraction of time where there is going to be an approach. If the assailant approaches you, the first key is awareness. Awareness of your surroundings will trigger that little light in your head that is going to enable you to make some type of effective action. So awareness is number one. If you don't have awareness of what's going on around you, there is no self-defense, martial art, or close combat system in the world that will be effective and work. So awareness is number one. This is something you have to cultivate on a daily basis. Once you recognize the possibility of threat as a stranger would to approach, you must reestablish distance. You reestablish distance at a zone that will negate his ability to throw a blow or a kick without shifting body weight. If he approaches me and I move away to a distance that if he were to punch or to kick, he would have to commit body weight. From this position, he has to take another step in order to reach my sphere of influence. This is the gap that will be a major part of protecting you or being able to respond or actually react effectively to his assault. So as he makes his approach and you reestablish body distance, he now has only several choices, 3 to be exact. He can stay where he is, he can attack, or he can leave. If he turns around and leaves, the imminent threat is now gone. We don't just forget about it. Of course, obviously we're watching to make sure that, It's not some type of setup. You're not just going to walk away. I mean, you watch. But he leaves. The imminent threat of that close combat is gone. The second two aspects are either he stays where he is or he attacks. If he stays where he is and you challenge him verbally as to what he wants, again, if he stays there or if he makes a move, your response has to be the same, and that must be an attack. That must be an attack. Because we have to assume from what we know, from empirical information, from our own experience and the experience of many, many people who have been in these situations, if the individual does not leave, he means you no good. So we must assume that his intentions are to harm us and that we must take a preemptive act. At this distance, when I move, if he does not leave, if he stays there, or if he tries to move in to get closer, or makes the attack, I am going to attack him regardless of what he does. Regardless of what he does. Now, one more point about movement that might be of some further use. When you're approached, now we're chest to chest, when he approaches me, I have basically one option, and that's to change the distance or move away from him. How I do that can also be a good tactical first maneuver. If he were to move towards me and I regain distance by moving back, it's a simple matter for him to just charge me. If, however, as he approaches, I change my direction by going in this manner, at an angle, any angle, what he'll have to do before he can make that charge is he himself is going to have to shift. So that could be one added advantage. However, that might not always be the case. You could be in many scenarios where a hallway, a public restroom, on a train, a bus, I mean any situation, in the real world, like we said at the beginning of the tape, in the real world, you have to understand that the worst is going to happen at the worst possible time under the worst conditions. All you may be able to do is just move straight back. That might be all you can do. However, if you can move to angles, move to angles. This will force him for a second to have to switch his direction. Gives you an even better opening for an attack. So that's an important point about distancing. It's not complicated, it's not hard, it's common sense. It's common sense. Now, your own position in relation to the assailant, and I'm going to stand a little closer to the camera, should be at a 45-degree angle. If I stand straight on in this manner, I'm giving him all of my vulnerable target areas. My balance is very poor. I couldn't stop a hard charge if I wanted to. All my target areas are right there, right in the open for him to attack. So as I move back, I angle myself at 45 degrees, removing all of my vulnerable target areas from a direct attack, and allowing my body position, because of the angle of my feet, to be able to have some defense against somebody that just immediately charged and just made an immediate leap. This is important for several reasons. Balance being primary, secondary against that type of charging, immediate charging attack. This could be a rush, a body grab, a wrestling maneuver, or even a blow. The point is, I have to be able to immediately assume a position of stability. If I stand this way, or even in this manner, with the weight on my back leg, or the weight evenly distributed on both feet, and he just charged and pushed me. As you can see, there's no way that I can shift my weight fast enough to do anything. And even if I try to launch a blow, forget about a kick on the lead leg. You know, you see the Nico Ashi Dach, the cat stance, that type of hard charge, the kick is not going to have anywhere near the power we need to stop him. His momentum is moving so hard, so fast, he'd still knock you right on your butt. The idea here is that with weight completely on the front leg, very aggressively leaning towards it with the angle, and this foot just resting, when he makes his charge, I have some ability to shift weight just enough to stop him. Again, even with a blow, if he punched me in the jaw, and I'm in this position, my weight's going backwards, when that fist makes contact, I'm gone. I'm gone. However, if he, with the weight on the front leg, if he throws a blow, I'm able to shift my weight so much more effectively. Even if he struck me, With the weight on the front leg, I still have an ability to recover. Whereas if my weight is in any other position, I'm going down. Even if the blow is not damaging, what it's doing is it's taking away my balance. So the weight should be on the front leg. Front leg. Upper body position. I see a lot of individuals when we give seminars and training, they keep their legs in a 45-degree angle, but they do this with their upper body. And again, you're defeating the purpose. With the body and legs at 45-degree angle, simply bring your arms up to your center line. Bring your arms up to your center line. When I bring my arms up to my center line, on this 45-degree stance, you'll see that my arms point past his shoulders. That's the proper stance. If, however, my legs are at 45 degrees and my upper torso is faced this way, and I bring my arms up, I'm right on his center line. That's not the right position. The right position is that the entire body is at 45-degree angle, weight on the front leg, and you're balanced on the ball of the foot, of the rear foot. The hips, the buttocks, the thighs, everything tight, everything tense. Train like this. In a real situation on the street, believe me, there's going to be enough tension as it is. That's how your body's going to be. Your body's going to be stiff, tense. You're going to lack the ability for fine motor coordination. Everything's going to be gross body movements. So now you understand the direction of the angle to break his balance. The position you assume for the best stability in real life. This is real life now. This is not dojo or gymnasium training. This is the real world. This position, in all accounts, under a number of scenarios, more than we could even possibly name, because how can we know all the different situations that will arise? These are the best, most effective, and reliable methods and tactics. This position, weight on the front leg, body bladed at the proper distance. Again, the proper distance being outside his ability to hit or kick you without shifting body weight. These are the primary fundamentals. The target areas, the most vulnerable areas, as we explained, stay away from the torso. Neck, throat, neck, head area, lower body. Groin, thighs, knee, shin, insteps. Okay? First blow, directing towards him on that line. Before we do that, let me just make one more point. Stand with that leg forward. If in his aggressive, threatening position, he stands in this manner, one leg forward. Now also remember this, there are only three positions an assailant can take. There are only three. Either he's going to have his left leg forward, his right leg forward, or both feet parallel. That's it. There are no other positions that the guy can take. So we bring it down, we boil it down to its basic essentials. If he faced me in this position, if I possibly could, when I shifted my body weight and stood at my bladed angle, I would stand in this position. Why? Because here is my perpendicular line between his feet. If I were here and I made my initial explosive drop step in for the attacker, I'm just going to use the palm of my hand. If I drop step in this position, okay, it's effective, but he was able to regain or maintain a certain amount of balance. If, however, I move to this angle, now I do the drop step, you'll see that the effectiveness of that blow was at least double. So always try to position yourself for the entry on that line against his weakest point of balance. Okay? The first blow is with the edge of the hand. Do not forget about any kind of convoluted, complex tensing of the hand, a shuto, tegetana. It's not necessary. It's one more thing that you're going to do that you don't have to do that makes real life survival that much more complicated. Just a reflexive opening, snapping opening of the hand. Snapping the hand open on a blow is the best, most effective way of striking in this type of situation. If I was going to break blocks or boards, then I have all the time in the world. I can do whatever I want. You can breathe, you can strike with a certain hand position. Under unexpected, immediate, explosive attack, you don't have that luxury. You don't have that luxury. Don't make it any more complicated than it has to be. It's already going to be a horrendous nightmare. Don't add anything to your training that is going to make it any more complicated. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. There's no more advantage to using intense hand positions toward the martial arts as opposed to the way that individuals like William Edward Fairbairn, Colonel Applegate, Robert Carlin, and a number of other actual, real-life experts in close combat taught this method, and that was with the reflexive opening of the hand. From whatever position your hands are in, whatever position your hands are in, when I make my initial strike to the throat-to-head area, and again, I'm not going to pick out a specific target, because again, you're probably not going to be able to under most situations. I am not going to make any fancy chambering movement, circling movement, because anytime I bring my hand away from the attacker, I'm giving him an opportunity. All he would have to do, anytime I bring my hand away, all he has to do, without even trying to block, is just put his hands up. Just put his hands up. And we're talking about guys on the street, criminals, on a battlefield situation in the military, enemy soldiers. Never assume that these guys are adults, that they're stupid, they don't know how to fight, they're cretins. I see these guys writing in magazines articles. Certain authors are always talking about the cretin. The criminal attacker is an idiot, he's a cretin, he's a throwback, he's a primitive. That's nonsense. If you believe that, what you're doing is you're setting yourself up to be either maimed or killed. These guys are highly intelligent. Maybe not in a intellectual form, but with street smarts, animal cunning, instinct, and again, living in an environment that from a small, young age they had to survive. These guys are tough opponents. Tough opponents. Any mistake you make is going to be to their advantage. Don't do it. Whatever position my hands are in, if they're at my side, if they're crossed in front of me at the belt, if they're crossed in this manner, if I'm in a position like this, no matter where my hands are, in a non-threatening position is where the blow must originate from. Anything else is not efficient. Now, we get our power from combining that non-telegraphed blow with a convulsive drop step. The drop step with the weight on the front leg, I simply lift my leg, and fall into my opponent. This is what I'm doing. I'm lifting my leg, stopping and falling in. I'm using my shoulder to demonstrate where my body is landing. Okay, obviously it would be a blow that would precede that. But instead of trying to shift my weight, instead of trying to slide in, which none of it is effective or efficient, one thing about footwork that's very, very important. If you don't use footwork that stops, okay, when I move, I stop. If I move in, I stop. I stop. Whatever I do, I stop. Why? Well, on the periphery, that stomping action could have some psychological effect because of that very aggressive stomping action. On the absolute practical side, we do not fight on even ground. We do not fight on areas that are clear of debris. Only in the dojo, the dojang, or the training gymnasium do we have the benefit of a clean floor, a clean surface. In the jungle, on a beach, in woodland, on staircases, on a city street, in an alleyway, the ground is uneven. There is all types of debris or obstructions on the ground. If you try to slide your feet in this type of motion, all you're going to do is fall on your butt. You're going to hit something and trip. The only way to move effectively over debris is to lift the leg and place it straight down. This would be especially true on ice. If you ever had to fight on snow or ice, you're not going to slide your feet. Right? Everybody trains sliding their feet. It doesn't work. You have to stomp. You must stomp. If you ever walked in a snowdrift, or you ever walked in deep water, or through marshland, which most instructors never had because they've never been in those situations, then you would know that the only way that you move is by lifting the leg and coming down. If you fight on ice and you try to slide, what's going to happen is you're going to slide right on your butt. However, if you were to lift your leg and come straight down, you're planting your weight. You're planting your weight. Now, it doesn't matter what any instructor says about the efficiency of moving any other way. In combat, this has been proven over decades to be the only effective method of movement. Our trainees, our students, guys that have trained with us, and the majority of them are law enforcement and military, when we get field reports, when they've used the methods that we espouse, they say, hey, that became instinctive, natural, it's the way we move. In a crowd, in multiple attackers, in any scenario, that is the most effective, aggressive way to get body weight moving at the assailant and not to slip, fall, and land on your butt where they're going to kick your head. Drop step begins this process. I lift my leg right down his center line and just stop my body weight right in. Convulsively, because that's what's going to happen in the street. Gross motor movements, large, heavy movements. That's what you're going to be able to do. Any type of coordinated move, this type of stuff, no fine motor skills, out the window, it doesn't work. Okay? This type of convulsive, aggressive movement is what wins real fights. The edge of hand blow, from wherever I'm in my non-threatening position, okay, wherever my hands are, and again, what determines what position I take? I try to keep my hands higher than his hands. If his hands are hanging at his side, I can fold my hands at the belt. If his hands were folded at the belt or at his hips or in a pocket, I would bring my hands to the chest position. I'm not intertwining, I'm just folding my hands. If his hands were folded at his chest, I would bring my hands up to this position. So my hand position is contingent on where his hands are. I want my hands higher than his hands. I want my hands higher, and I don't want to take a fighting position. The closest thing to a stance would be if I kept both of my hands out in front of me open in this manner. Okay, showing him the palms in this type of surrendering manner. And this position offers as much defense capabilities as a boxing position or any other position if you were to take. But it doesn't come off as a threatening, aggressive, I'm ready to move type of situation. You have to keep the element of surprise on your side as much as possible. Take non-threatening positions. Your hands are already across the front of your center line, so that negates a lot of the need for a wind-up. From this position, if I move with my drop step and I use my lead axe hand, what I'm going to do from the position that my hand is in to the target area is going to be a straight line. If I try to do any other movement, if I try to tense my hand, chamber my hand, I'm giving him an opportunity to take my head off my shoulders. So from this position to the target, when I move, it just moves from this position straight into the target area with no telegraphing. The power comes from the fact that my hand blow lands before my foot lands. So instead of this leg catching that body weight, the hand strikes with all of that body weight behind it. And again, no telegraphing, no fancy maneuver. Just from wherever my hands are to the target area in one convulsive snapping movement. This is my opening gambit. When I do my drop step, again, an individual that is taller than I am makes it very easy when I do my drop step to strike into the neck and throat area. If he was my same size, that blow would probably go into the nose, bridge of the nose, maybe the temple sphenoid, maybe the point of the chin. Doesn't matter. The zygomatic arch, temple sphenoid, the jaw hinge. Does not matter. Anywhere you hit on the face is going to cause the type of momentary injury that is going to allow you to finish him. Okay? Again, the drop step, the convulsive snapping open of the hand, no telegraphing, directly in. The next important point, if you watch my body position, I don't do this. Right? I'm not moving like this. This is ridiculous. I'm doing what a boxer does. When a boxer fights an individual who is taller, larger than he is, one of his primary defenses is to move in and to plant his head about solar plexus level. Not like this, so I can get kneed in the face, okay? Here, with my face right into the center of his chest. Using this same proven theory. Again, we've been instructed to say, no, don't, this wouldn't, he'd knee you. Nonsense, it's been proven to work. listen to what we have to say. When this blow lands, my head drops below shoulder level. My elbow remains up. This is my defense. If you realize that instinctively, when a man throws a blow, it's instinctive to throw that type of sweeping blow at shoulder level. Shoulder level. He swings a blow. By that movement of bringing my head into his chest, I'm already getting below his shoulder level. So when I do my convulsive drop step and drop, not only am I bringing my head here, my arm is up as a defense. My arm is up as a defense, right across his shoulders. Not only am I hitting a vulnerable area, I'm not hitting like this, I'm striking against the vulnerable area, keeping my forearm up against his shoulder level and dropping my head down in a very well-balanced, very strong position, allowing me to move any direction I wish, including upwards. Okay? With this type of convulsive down, right from here, snapping upwards. With a knee strike, a headbutt, I have upward spring. I can move very, very effective, very, very efficient. So that's how the initial drop step and edge of hand blow should be done. The edge of hand blow, again, from wherever the hand position is to wherever the hand position goes, it's a straight line on the initial blow. From here to here, this straight line, whatever the target area is, straight line. Simplest, most effective, reliable way to get in. Once I've maneuvered in, now, just using the elbow joint, I snap the blow, snap repetitive blows. No big motions. Once you bring that hand away from your attack, you're giving him an opening that you cannot afford to give him. If all you do is practice your blows on a makiwara or on a dummy or a heavy bag, you can run to Detroit and back and hit the thing with all of that power and think that you have a viable fighting technique. The problem is that the makiwara, the dummy, the heavy bag doesn't hit back. In this type of scenario, you cannot afford to do that. Your blows from wherever your hands are, at your sides, even if they were in your pockets, from that position to when you move, that's how the blow has to move, in a straight line. Once you've gotten in, now the blow snaps from the elbow, snaps from the elbow. The elbow is kept up as a guard. It can be used to jam, but this is where the blow comes from. This is the short axe hand that just snaps into these targets. Using the body, and you just hammer. You hammer at him. You hammer into his throat, the side of his neck, the jaw hinge, the ear, the temple. No matter how he turns his face, you have vulnerable areas that are going to damage him. That's with one blow. One blow, edge of hand blow. After you've caused the type of massive damage that's going to accumulate by these type of repetitive, fast, speed is essential. These type of blows, now you can start putting more body torque. Even then, keep that arm in a position. If I throw the arm back to the opposite shoulder, I never lower my elbow. Even here, if I was going to now, after these repetitive blows, I came back to really whip and try to hit him to break his neck. I don't let my elbow drop. I keep my elbow up, ready to jam, protect myself, then whip. Different types of blows. The short axe hand is snapping, digging like a hatchet. Digging. The long axe hand is like a cutlass or a saber, trying to take his head right off. The damage I'm causing with this type of cutting blow is I'm trying to injure the neck. I'm trying to damage the cervical vertebrae. Remember, any blow to the head, initial trauma to the target area, initial to whatever you hit. Secondary, referral shock to the brain by being shaken in the brain pan. Third, damage to the cervical vertebrae, whiplash. You have 3 levels of injury. This blow, this convulsive, close, snapping blow to these targets, very effective, very fast, unconventional, cause a lot of damage. Once that damage has been inflicted to the point where you know now, you can take a second longer, not a second longer in a stupid move, a second longer and more of a powerful wind-up. Now you can use that cutting, saber-like axe hand. We call the long axe hand. So now you have three basic blows. You have your initial drop step that comes right into the target. Bang! Right into the target. From here it snaps back and strikes multiple targets, multiple targets. Once he's starting to be injured, now you can look back and cut, trying to take his head right off his shoulders. So that's the progression of the axe hand blow. The vertical series. The vertical series. These blows can be used to the solar plexus, to the throat, to the groin, anywhere on the body. The beauty of this blow, it's simple, it's effective, does not have to be highly trained, and can be used against almost any target area on the body in almost any situation, without injury to the hand. Without injury to the hand. The reason why men like Fairburn and Colonel Applegate advocated these type of blows was because they knew that in a real fight, under many different types of situations and circumstances, mere boxing, or for that matter, any fist, any percussion system that employs the fist, not only does it take an extended amount of training to become effective with this weapon, but also, under a number of conditions, this fist that hits an elbow, the top of the head, or even the jaw and teeth is going to be severely damaged. It's fine, again, in training, this kind of thing rarely happens. Even in boxing matches, your hands are wrapped, you have gloves on. On the street, it's a different scenario. Go to throw a punch at the guy and have him lift his elbow, or the old Street Fighter's trick of dropping the head, the skull, the elbow, the hip, even the chin can cause massive damage to the hand. It's useless, done, toast, can't use it. The two blows advocated by the men who really knew and really did this were the edge of the hand blow and the heel of the hand blow. They formed the fundamentals of real hand-to-hand combat. So we've covered the three basic methods of using the edge of hand in a vertical context. Next, the horizontal. Next is the vertical axe hand. The vertical axe hand also is done in several different ways. The concept here again is just like the horizontal axe hand. There is no wind-up. Any type of movement that brings the weapon back from the target or circles from the target is a fraction of a second that you are giving a capable, determined, aggressive, dangerous opponent. You're giving him a second to clean your clock, a second you can't afford. So again, from my hands in this position, as a training drill, if I go to the collarbone, the side of the neck, the jawline, the temple, whatever area I go to with the vertical axe hand, my hand moves from where it is to the target. And I allow body weight to give me force. But I don't break past my body. As soon as I do this, I'm giving him the ability to go from wherever his hand is, right to some type of action. At the very least, when I do this, he's already going to be bringing that arm up just to cover himself. At the very least. Never sell the assailant short. Everything you do has to be based on realism, which means you've got to look at him as the most dangerous, highly skilled, vicious, determined enemy that you'll face. And you will not make any mistakes in training. Okay? Anytime you bring a weapon away from your target, you're making an error. Doesn't make sense. It's not efficient or practical. So even in this blow, it comes from wherever the hand is, right to the target in the least convoluted manner. It just comes in, and I use my body weight to lend force to the blow. Now, this blow in and of itself, do we depend on a single blow? Never. Never. No matter how hard you hit, you never depend on a single blow. It is a battery attack. It is a barrage of a number of blows. Perfect combination. Setting up to here, striking to here, following with a knee to the groin. Those three blows, if done with speed, that's how you're going to move in real hand-to-hand combat. There is no set one blow. one blow should be 5 or 6. Everything flows, everything moves. So this type of vertical axe hand, when you train it, comes from wherever the hand is in the simplest, tightest, most direct arc. Dropping, turning the body and dropping. Going into the collarbone, turning the hand a little bit, into the side of the neck, into the jaw, into the temple. Okay, so this type of blow, which is an excellent strike, follow up immediately with this blow. This is how it should be done. Very effective. Very effective. Once the blow is struck in this initial turning manner, from this position, now I can use, again, that hacking method. I can hack, hack, hack. But it's a short hack with my whole body, snapping at my elbow. While I'm doing this, I'm also doing this. I'm headbutting, right? I'm not just using one technique. I'm using a barrage of techniques. That's real fighting. That is real fighting. This is unconventional. If the individual, the assailant, is in this position, head bent over, now the dropping edge of hand blow becomes different. If I've kicked him in the groin or the knee or the shin, I've kneed him in the face. Now when I strike the base of his skull, his cervical vertebrae, his kidneys, and I use the edge of hand blow, now I can bring it up and drop with a little bit more time because I've injured him with other weapons. Again, if I just knee him, a short hack, boom, boom, excellent. But again, now in this position, I can take more time, a little more distance, a little more, and drop using my whole body. So that, in that context, once you've injured him, you know you have him in a very vulnerable position, you can take a little bit more time. To review on the axe hand, horizontal axe hand, convulsive snapping, using the drop step, comes either directly into the target, then snaps, snaps, then cuts. The vertical axe hand, again, from wherever the hand position is, if I've struck and my hand is coming up in guard, again, I don't, right from this position, hip, leg, thigh, and snap. Okay, simple, snap. Once I'm in, now using the body and the hip, I can hack. I can hack. But with the least amount of movement. Anything else, and you're going to have a problem. One more point, real fight. I strike. It's not effective. I have to deal with his blows. With my hands close to his shoulder points, one of the most effective ways of stopping a guy from hitting him is hit his shoulders. So if I hit him, I have my hands. I have my hands here to hit the points of his shoulders to be able to stop blows. Only if my hands are close. If I start bringing my hands away, I'm not going to have that advantage. I want to stay on him. I want to stay on him. Okay? All right, the next blow is the heel of the hand blow. Now, we do this exactly in the same manner that was first taught by William Everett Fairbairn, was also taught and explained in detail by Colonel Applegate. Using the heel of the hand is a blow, which is known as the chin jab. It can go to any surface of the skull and cause tremendous amounts of damage. The proper, most effective and efficient way is to use the chin jab in conjunction with another very effective technique, and that's gouging the eyes. When I use a chin jab, my hand is bent at the wrist, the fingers are clawed. This position fits perfectly right to the point of his chin. My fingertips then can be driven right into his eyes. So, using a different type of hand blow, using the heel of the hand with the fingers folded or the fingers bent, not that it's bad, but you're not getting the full potential use from the blow. Hitting with the heel of the hand, it's almost impossible to injure yourself. If the blow is not effective initially, or if there is a miss or a near miss, with the hands clawed, either you go directly for the eyes with the fingers, Or if I were to glance off, I could drive with the thumb. So without having to change to another technique, only using one technique, I have two very, very effective blows. Very, very effective blows. The chin jab can be done in several different ways. No matter how you use it, it must be done like any other blow without telegraphing. Without telegraphing. For training purposes, it's always a good idea to press your hands to your thighs. Put tension. Now move from this position. Put yourself in the worst possible position. Having your hands behind your back, having your hands behind your head, even in your pockets, all of these positions are excellent. Because if you train by putting yourself in the worst case scenario, when that does happen, and that's probably what is going to happen, the worst possible scenario, you will have some preparedness. Again, the first blow is the direct chin jab smash. The direct chin jab smash. From the hand at the side, you can do the drop step, you don't have to for training purposes when you learn the blow. I just use my rear leg and body as if I was throwing my hand out, as if my hand weighed 40 or 50 pounds. No wind-up. From this position, just throw the hand out and claw it as it strikes. If you notice, my body weight should follow that blow in. The difference here would be if I throw the blow like this, this is as much force and power as I have. But if I throw the body this way, and again I'm going slow, just move back 1 second. I'm going to do this with speed, obviously there's no control there. But if I throw the blow this way, as if I had a 20-pound shot put in my hand, you can see that I have all of that body weight flinging right behind that hand. It's not wasted motion. Don't worry about losing your balance. Anytime you start to lose your balance, knee the guy in the groin to do a stomp step, and you won't fall. So this direct chin jab smash, wherever your hands are in, smashing right to the point of the chin. Smashing right to the point of the chin. From this position, simply cant the wrist downward and drive. See? Just cant this down and drive. And go right in with the eye gouge. Drive his head straight down. Don't allow your wrist to break parallel. Don't go down this way. That's useless. Just take your hand and drive your fingertips right into his eyes. While you're doing this, you're smashing at his groin. You could smash at his throat. Number of different things. But the chin jab eye gouge combination is very effective. Don't wind up on these initial type of blows. Wherever my hand is, that's where the blow has to come from. Wherever my hand is. So the chin jab smash comes straight at it. Once I've hit it, let's look at this scenario. If from this position I strike, non-telegraphed, now my body weight drops. Now I bring this hand up. Now I can chamber this for my second smash. That's okay. That's okay, because he's concerned with this. Smash. Now that won't become a really smash. Really smashing. That's okay. On the initial one, the hand has to come out with no telegraphing of movement. The next one is the uppercut chin jab. The uppercut chin jab is a slight step to the side. I align my shoulder and hip with his center line, and this blow travels up and in. It comes right up his center line, striking the chin. My forearm should snap into his solar plexus sternum as this smashes into the chin. This is the uppercut chin jab. Again, from this blow, perfect combination, strike, strike, step to the side, smash up with the uppercut chin jab. Now, lift the elbow, fingers into the eyes, and you can drive them straight into the ground. Okay. Straight in chin jab, uppercut chin jab. Step off at an angle, align this with the center line, smash directly straight up the center line into the chin, lift the elbow now for the eye gouge and bring it down. Another important point to this is, as you move, if you can pin his arm or his back, when you hit him with the chin jab, all of that upward energy and all of that force is going to be caught right by his spine, right by the shoulder, because I'm locking him in place. He's got nowhere to go. So if I were to combine axe hand, grab the arm or grab the lower back as I move, you'll see here that my head is pinned to the shoulder. I come right up his center line, into the chin, and then drive with my fingers driving his head right into the ground. So those are the two chin jab or heel of hand blows, either direct straight in or uppercut. Now these blows don't have to go to the point of the chin. The blow can go anywhere in the face. Don't go. Smash into the cheekbone, into the eye, into the nose, turning. I can strike his head from any angle, even if I moved around his body. This will fit into all the nooks and crannies of his skull. So anywhere I hit with a chin jab, anywhere I hit to his skull is going to be effective. One very, very effective angle is if you were to get behind him, and this can be done a number of ways. The simplest way is after your initial attack, or as an initial attack, spin him. Just smash to the back of his skull. Right to the base of his skull with that chin jab. Right. Drive it. Very, very, very effective. But anywhere on his skull that you were to strike with that blow would be effective. Remember, in a real fight, chances are all you're going to see, especially at night, poor visibility, low light conditions. All you're going to see is the silhouette of a man. That's all you're going to see is the outline. You're not going to be able to pick targets. If you can see the outline of his head, just start smashing with those chin jabs. And as you're smashing, try to gouge an eye with the fingers of the thumb. Very, very effective, real fighting. There is no science, per se. There is no flow. You don't have to look good. You have to win and survive. It means you have to pound this man into the ground as fast and as effectively as possible. The blows that we've gone over, the edge of hand blow, the heel of hand blow, these are blows that are effective. Often we hear instructors say, well, they're basic, they're fundamental. We have the real secrets. That's a bunch of bull. The effective, simple, basic methods of hand-to-hand combat are the ones you must rely on when your life is hanging in the balance. When you have some maniac attack you who is determined to smash you into the ground, to maim you or to kill you, or to do that to a member of your family, you must fall back and rely upon proven, effective basics. They're the only ones that you should even worry about. The simple fundamentals are what is going to see you through real hand-to-hand. Not sport disguised as combat, not combat systems that are based on some theoretical belief or were founded by people with no experience or who have denied the proven track record of guys who do have experience. This stuff doesn't look pretty, it doesn't look nice. If that's not what you're into, if you want to see flash, go somewhere else. This stuff works. It's been proven to work. It is, not just in our opinion, but based on reality, the most effective way to use the body in hand-to-hand combat. Again, to reiterate what we covered, the edge of hand blow, the heel of hand blow, going to vulnerable areas. Don't pinpoint them, they're there. Direct your attack against the center line with the convulsive drop step. Always move. Even when I move, anytime I move and strike, I'm stomping. If I'm between his legs, this stomp is a blow. Okay? It's all there. Again, this was the fundamental basic tape. Those two blows that we demonstrated can be used in a number of circumstances. They are the fundamentally best blows to rely upon in hand-to-hand combat. This is the end of tape 1.